There's Target this morning announcing it has chosen its next leader in the wake of the retailer's sluggish sales and stock price. COO and company veteran Michael Fiddelke will succeed Brian Cornell as CEO in February of next year. Our Sara Eisen's here post tonight with more on the change at the top, on comps, on their reiteration of full-year guidance.
No question Fiddelke's going to have a tough job coming in February 1. He's been at the company since 2003, started as an intern, has worked in merchandising as the CFO, most recently the COO. I don't think that it's surprising that Cornell is leaving now. This was expected. It might be surprising that they went to an insider, a longtime company insider, at a time where the company is facing challenges. So I had a chance to speak with both Michael Fiddelke, incoming CEO, and Brian Cornell, outgoing CEO, who will take the role of executive chairman. On this current quarter, look, comps down almost 2%. That was actually better than expected. But what Cornell told me about that, 6 categories we saw improvement. Our comps did improve, and we beat consensus, but we are not where we want to be on a long-term basis. As far as the new CEO pick, I asked why they went with an insider, not an outsider. Cornell said the board, this has been a multi-year process, and they did evaluate external candidates. But, guys, they ultimately decided better have someone who knows what makes Target special, to bring Target back to the heyday of when it was outgrowing the rest of retail and big box. Obviously, that's been a challenge in the last few years. Just as far as Fiddelke, what he said is his challenge number one and his job number one, it's an urgent focus on growth. He told me his number one focus is getting us back to growth. I draw on 20 years of knowing what makes Target unique. At our core, we are a style and design-led company. And then I asked him how he's going to do that. He said, first, we're going to reclaim merchandising. We have big plans for changes in home, for instance, which has been a category that's been weak for them. Second, we need to focus on the customer experience, make sure it's better. And the third is the how. We will use technology more aggressively. Guys, we spent a lot of the conversation talking about sort of what's gone wrong and what Target's special sauces, how they get back, because it's obviously a very competitive retail environment. Walmart's taken a lot of share. What makes Target unique? And I think my takeaway from Fiddelke is it's the Target. It's the, we have sort of on-trend, design-led products at good values. That's what made people like Target.Maybe they got away from that in certain categories post-pandemic, and they've really struggled, as evidenced by the recent results.
I guess the question is, did a set of competitors kind of take that from them that they can reclaim? Or is that just what they're kind of grasping for the moment when they seem to have it figured out? Well,
look, no question Walmart has grown share, and that includes in the discretionary category as well. Though, if you look at what went wrong over just step back at Target over the last few years, it was a series of things. And they were both strategic missteps and also consumer changes. It started coming out of COVID. Target boomed during COVID. Yeah. Coming out, they were on the wrong side of the inventory equation, where they just had too much discretionary home goods and products and air fryers that nobody wanted anymore. So that was an inventory problem. And then they had some pressure with the LGBT. They had some, transgender bathing suits, and then there was this big woke backlash, and there's still questions, and they rolled back some of their DEI initiatives. It's unclear. I talked to both of the executives about whether that's still having an impact. They don't quantify it. They don't really talk about it in that way. And then just missing some of the key design trends on some of their core categories, which make them unique. Apparel, for instance, and home. And that's what they need to figure out. And at the same time, Walmart, Amazon, Costco, all killing it at a time where consumers were looking for value and they were putting needs before wants. Target was always a bigger play on discretionary than on staples. So for all of these reasons, there was also the theft and the shrink problem.
Which they actually did quantify at one point.
Yes. Well, So Brian told me, actually, there's good progress on that. He said, we're getting close to pre-pandemic levels of shrink. That's good news. They don't want to lock up all their products, he said, but that clearly is something they've had to do, and they've worked with the authorities. So there's progress there. And then on the growth plan, Fiddelke plans to open more stores, 300 stores in the coming years. And I thought this was interesting. They're going to skew toward, he told me, bigger box stores. And our batting average on stores we're opening is quite good. So, look, they're optimistic that they have someone who on day one can be prepared to pick up the baton on the turnaround plan. looks like Wall Street maybe was looking for a fresher idea, or is disappointed by the lower traffic, lower tickets, and lower sales again.
Right. Comps down 1.9. We were looking for down 3. Fiddelke was at one point a summer intern at Target when he was out of school. And we forget that Cornell was, even it's been 11 years, but as an outsider, that wasn't very common at Target at the time.
No, he was brought in. He was from PepsiCo. And remember, his number one focus was to actually beef up the food and staples and grocery part of the business. He's also been an executive at other companies as well. But they're drawing from insiders. And I was told they looked at outsiders too. And ultimately, it's about staying close to the consumer and knowing what makes Target great. And instead of maybe having a 6-month process where a new CEO would have to come in and understand the whole business, they have someone who's been there and who knows and has a sense of urgency.
Seen a bit, Sarah. A good color on Target. Big story this morning.